Alright, this is Michael Ives recording on our EECS 282 project, our Capstone project. I worked alone on the project. My idea was to have a website based around users being able to rate video games. They would be able to add games to the database and update the rating and have it average with everybody else who's rated the game. And another feature, the other feature of the website is to be able to search for the games that are in the database based on a couple of criterion. So I've already got it pulled up here. The home page just has two simple options: finding the games in the database and adding games to the databases. So I'm going to go ahead and start with adding games to the database. It requires you to fill out all four fields. So you can add whatever game you want. We'll just do something simple and go with like Pac-Man. It was an arcade game. We'll give it a 4 out of 5 and call it a puzzle game since I have no idea what else to call it. Then you submit it, and it'll tell you that a new game was added into the database since Pac-Man isn't already in there. You can go back to the home page. Let's say another user comes along and decides he wants to submit Pac-Man 2. So puts Pac-Man down, arcade for the system. Say that this guy particularly hates Pac-Man, so he gives it a 2 out of 5. And genre is still puzzle. And submit the query, and it'll tell you that Pac-Man has been updated. And since the rating has been averaged between the first user and the second user, it's now at a 3. And as far as I know, this will work for as many people as SQL can handle. I don't know how many people could rate it before something bad happened, but it should average continuously. So yeah, every time you try to add a game, if the game's detected to already exist, it'll just update the rating as opposed to just adding a new game and having duplicates and whatnot. It's not very sophisticated yet. If you misspell Pac-Man or put lowercase, it'll put a lowercase p. It's going to take it as a different game, but it wouldn't be too hard to go and make sure that misspellings or capitalization disjunctions would be easy to detect and would result in the same game. Alright, so go on to the other functionality of the site, finding games in the database. And what's interesting about this is these three fields you can search by don't all need to be filled out. I'll get into what I did to accomplish that later, but let's say you just wanted to find arcade games. So you just type in arcade and submit, and they're the two arcade games that happen to be in the database right now, Pong and Pac-Man. Pac-Man's what we put in ourselves, so that's all working well and good. And you're not restricted to only using one of these fields. Let's say you wanted to find a Nintendo 64 game that's better than 4 stars on the average rating. It'll give you these games. And if you go back, and if you were just to say, I want to see all the Nintendo 64 games, the list, that actually might be the same list, I'm not sure, but anything lower than 4.0 won't show up on the list if you restrict it by rating. So that's kind of the gist of what's going on. I think it leaves a lot of room for functionality to be added. I like the design of just having a home page that allows users to interact with the database in pretty self-explanatory ways. Just to look at some of the code a little bit. Let's see, adding the game. Let's see. Oh. Go over and open the Java file. So the statements, what I did for this is I had an array list for finding games. If I can find the Java file. There we go. So the array list takes in all three of the fields. It just parses through it and kind of it detects the size of the fields. So if you only enter into one of the three fields, it'll only require you to put one thing into the SQL command. And there's a little bit of tricky string parsing in this area that allows that to work. But all in all, it's a pretty basic design, but it gets the job done pretty well and looks pretty nice. And hopefully someday it'll be pretty useful. It's an idea of that would be I think would be pretty fun to implement into a full-size website. But yeah, so that's the basics of it. One final note: I'm not entirely sure what to do with this bit right here, since it's hard linked to my personal laptop. I'm going to provide the database file I currently have. I was hoping either one of you could tell me how to put it in the Tomcat's resource files, but or just replace this code yourselves in this Java file in the addgame.java file with the correct pathing. I'm not entirely sure what you'd want to do with that, but yeah, that should be the only thing that needs to change in order to run. It's all standard Tomcat version 7 setup. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you.